There's
Oh,
Julia.
that's good. Hey, Julia.
There she is.
Yeah.
To be late.
No, you're fine. We were just
Okay.
chatting music and
All
techie.
right.
So,
Yes.
how are
Yes.
you
Hi,
this
Jerry.
morning?
Okay.
Doing fine.
Good,
Really
good.
good to see you both.
Good to see you
You're
too.
all dressed up, Jerry. You look great.
I
Oh,
know.
well, thank you. You know, I'm a church kid, so I don't know any better.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, welcome. Julia, would you mind opening us in prayer?
Of course not. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we turn to you always, but it seems like even more now in this strange time that we're in. We ask for your protection and guidance and wisdom. We thank you for the gift of technology and this way that we get to be together in a safe way. It's hard, but it's so much better than not being able to do this. We're very grateful. I give thanks for all musicians and their ministries, and especially for Rachel and for Jerry, for the gifts that you've bestowed upon them and their willingness to use them to your good glory in the furthering of your kingdom and the spreading of your love. Be with us now as we talk together. Send your spirit to be among us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right. Well, Jerry, welcome to the impromptu interview, get to know you coffee hour with Julia and Rachel from Trinity.
Okay.
I'm going to just set myself up to take notes here so that I can, and I'm also recording the meeting so I can go back to it if I need to, if that's okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. So let us start right away with the really hard question of where were you born?
Oh, okay. Well, I was born in Detroit, lived here all of my life. I grew up in a little town in Detroit called Delray. I'm not sure if are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was quite an interesting neighborhood, pretty well diverse, mostly Polish, but we had African Americans there, Mexican Americans, uh, French, and perhaps some more that I didn't know about. But we really enjoyed that time there, my family and I growing up. As a matter of fact, the elementary school that I went to was right across the street, and also the big playground was there. So everything was really convenient, really neighborhood-like, and we knew everybody on the blocks around the neighborhood. So you know, the children had to really be good because you couldn't walk down the street and not act up because they would talk to you, and then if they called your parents, then
Oh,
you got a problem.
yeah.
We really had a lot of nice kids in the
I'll
neighborhood.
bet.
Yeah.
'Cause- oh my goodness, that is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you got in trouble with your neighbors down the road, they might call your parents, and then you get in double trouble.
Right. But you know, I was a great kid. That never happened to me. I was just observed the other kids.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. So, did you grow up in the Episcopal Church?
No, as a matter of fact, I grew up in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So my parents went there. Joanne's parents and grandparents went there. So uh, at the beginning, what would happen is I would go for Sunday school to to a church that was a Church of God in Christ, but my uncle played organ there. So after Sunday school was over, I would go up there and watch him play, and sometimes he would let me goof off on the organ. So I was about maybe 7 or 8. So that was interesting. And then my parents would pick me up, and we'd all go to St. Paul AME Church. So I'm sort of familiar with the Episcopal Church. The AME Church is quite a bit alike. So, you know, I've had a forecasting of the Episcopal Church. Then, after there, Joanne and I joined Trinity Baptist Church. It was an independent Baptist church. We had a really good time there. There was a lot of emphasis on youth there. So I was able to work with youth, work with Pee-wee kids, junior high kids, and not adult kids, but high school kids. So what we tried to do, we tried to get them when they were little and just raise them up all the way to high school and help them to get into college. So, you know, I think we were quite influential with some of the kids there. As a matter of fact, we see some of them now, Joanne and I. Maybe we'll be in a restaurant and they'll come up and recognize us and we'll recognize them. They'll bring the kids over. And most of them are doing well. So we think we had a good influence. The church had a really good influence on them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yes, yes.
So do you love working with kids, or was that just where you were in your life at that point?
Actually, both. I really like to work with kids. If you're going to teach kids, let's say teach them the Bible, you better study, because they're going to ask you kids questions which are direct, and you better be on your game if you want to answer those questions. With the kids at all ages, relationships are the most important. Kids know when you care about them, when they love you, and it'll come out in them trusting you and, you know, basically doing what you say. So I'm a big sports fan, so I was able to coach basketball and baseball. Our rules were that you had to, in order to play, you had to come to church or Sunday school or both 3 times out of the month. And yes, 3 times. And believe me, they did it. They did it. If they weren't able to come, they would get their parents to write notes to excuse them. And so the parents would come wondering, why are they so interested in church? So that would be a way in to talk to the parents also. But we had a real good time doing that. We were, I think, influential there.
I would say so. That's amazing. Wow. So, okay, Julia,
I was going to say now to the Episcopal Church.
Sure, yes, right.
Yeah, actually, Joanne, my wife Joanne, had been working at the Cathedral of St. Paul for, over 30 years. So we've always had a connection there. As a matter of fact, Joanne's brother, Michael, late brother, sang in the choir there for some time. So between that, Joanne working there, and our daughter Erin went to school there. At school we had in the basement there, and she was there for kindergarten to about 4th grade, and then went to another school. So we figured that, well, since she's there and we knew a lot of people, so we just decided that would be a nice place to go. So that's how we got there.
All right.
And the services and music are rather familiar to us too.
Yes. Yeah. Right
Huh.
there. That's amazing.
Were you both confirmed then in the Episcopal Church or received or?
Um, I was. It wasn't necessary because of my background.
Because you already confirmed AME?
I was already confirmed,
Yeah.
yes. But I did it anyway.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, Mary Graham and I did it on the same
Oh, really?
same date. Yeah. So that was really, really special.
That is.
Yeah.
So then, did Dean Hunter confirm you guys, or does the bishop
Oh,
do
the bishop.
confirmations?
Oh,
Okay.
the Bishop did. The Bishop did.
Yeah.
I knew him, pretty well. So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
awesome too.
That
And Dean Hunter
is.
was definitely an influence for us joining there.
Yeah.
So Bishop Gibbs confirmed you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All righty. And Mary Graham is Dean Hunter's daughter, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just figuring out. I've graduated little by little to working more with the diocese, and so I'm just learning who goes with whom.
Yeah.
Sure. As a matter of fact, we've known Tina and Scott about as early as when he came up from North Carolina. So we've known them basically since they've gotten here. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
Mary Graham was about 4 years old when we first met him.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But you were, is it okay if I interject a little bit?
Absolutely. That's why you're here. Yep.
Because you were helping with music and diocesan things long time before you officially became Episcopalian, right? Because I've
Right.
known you a long time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did jump right in there.
Yeah.
And diocesan. Okay. My fingers are flying over here. That's wonderful.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for the next question?
Yeah. What is it?
It is. What is your journey with music? And was it always a gift that you had, or was it something you really wanted to learn? And I wonder, because you've mentioned playing the organ with your uncle.
Yes. I would say it was a gift, but as gifts go, you have to practice, you have to hone, you have to pray on it. But as far as music is concerned, you have to practice, more practice, listen to other musicians. Did I say practice? Yeah, okay, practice.
You did say practice.
I did, okay. So,
but maybe you should say practice.
yeah, okay, I'll say practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus practicing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I would agree. I have heard that. Practice. I love it. So did you take like piano lessons, or are you self-taught?
Yes, I took piano lessons. I think I started at 6, so I won't tell my age. So
No, I won't ask.
Okay, you want to ask? Okay.
No, I won't ask. I will not ask. No, you're good.
As a matter of fact, my late brother Alfred was my first teacher. As a matter of fact, if you see behind me, this is the original piano that I had in my mom's house that I first
really?
started on.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so my first teacher was my brother, and then my next teacher was Marlene Moore, who was a neighborhood teacher, music teacher. So I took lessons from her also. And it gave me a pretty good foundation. We did some piano in high school at Cass. Then the rest was practice, listening practice, playing ensembles with some of my friends, playing gospel, jazz, whatever, a little classical here and there. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really admire gospel and jazz musicians. That is not a genre that is in my blood. Classical was what I was brought up on, and boy, do I have to work at anything different.
Yeah, well,
Mm-hmm.
we've got a little more time now. Maybe you should try it out.
Indeed, we do, sir. Indeed, we do. That's and you know what? What's been really great is working with Julia. She loves variety of music, as
Yes.
do I, and so I have been able to get some of those new pieces in my head, and we're able to teach the congregation some new pieces, which is amazing. Yes, I have slowed down quite a bit. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So, who are some of your favorite composers, musicians? Influences later. Sorry, I've got it.
Okay. Some of my favorite composers. One is Edwin and Walter Hawkins, because they sort of introduced or brought in the modern gospel. So uh, they were some of my favorite composers. Yes, and two would be Herbie Hancock. Um,
Mm.
the way he substitute chords and write melodies, it's unbelievable. Some of the teachers that transcribe his solos and music have a hard time teaching it or would not teach it because it's so complex. But it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful.
I notice when you play, you do a lot of different chords that I just in the last year started thinking in chords and chord progressions.
Hmm.
That's just not. I mean, my piano teacher would tell me, but Rachel, it's only E major to G minor, and I don't know. And why aren't you just in this? And it just didn't make sense to me that way. But to listen to your progressions, they are so rich to me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love that, and that is not, and I admire it because that is not a skill that comes easily to me.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say the most important one is the 2-5-1 progression. That's in all songs and especially jazz. 2-5-1. If you learn those, you have the basics of jazz actually,
Oh,
particularly as soloist. So if you learn, your scales, modes, and everything else, and of course your technique, you're well on your way.
all right. Hmm. My brain things are going.
Okay, good,
Love
good.
it. Okay. What are three of your favorite songs or hymns?
Okay, that's a good question. My favorite one is Jesus Loves Me. It's such a simple song, great melody, and there's so many ways you can play it. So that's one of my favorite ones. Another one would be "Oh for a Thousand Tongues to Sing." It's so
Yes.
it's so majestic. I really really like that one. And there's a gospel song called "Prayer Changes Things." Um, when I was going to the AME church, uh, we had 3 or 4 choirs, and there was a gospel choir that we called, and they would sing that, and that song stuck with me, all my life, the way they sung it. So that became one of my favorite ones also. There are a lot more, but those are 3 of the ones
Sure.
I
Those are the three. I don't okay. I don't know that I've heard Prayer Changes Things. Have you heard it, Julia?
I don't think no.
Oh,
I
I'm
yeah,
mean,
gonna
it sounds familiar, but I can't
yeah,
sing it.
that's
I
sort of
don't.
like a Baptist maybe
I gotta look it up.
African
Yeah.
church song. As a matter of fact, one of my friends who suddenly passed sang that song, and this was the first time I heard him sing. As a matter of fact, I was just taken aback how well he sung. If I remember correctly, I had some of my musician friends over, and he came over. His cousins lived right across the street from my mother's house where I was at the. No, that wasn't my mother. Yeah, that was my mom's house. So the first note out of his mouth, everybody sort of looked at each other. It was just unbelievable, unbelievable. I'm so sorry that we never got a chance to do anything. We had some things lined up, but he suddenly passed away. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But
Do you have any recordings of him singing?
unfortunately, no.
Oh. I was going to see if there was a way we could do a Natalie and Nat King Cole extraction and give you a posthumous remembrance of that. If we find that, if we find any recordings, is there any chance that there are recordings of him?
No, I'm sure there's not. I'm sure there's not.
All right, then I will let that idea.
If I happen to run into one, I will let you know. I doubt it, but who knows?
Okay. Okay. All right. So all right. So who are your biggest influences then?
My biggest influences now were my brother, who taught me how to play, and my other brother Tommy, who played baseball really, really well. As a matter of fact, he was a pro prospect. The scouts would call the house, and I would dutifully answer the phone and write down whatever information he had. So he was a big influence on me as far as just baseball is concerned. That would be my, well, I take that back. There are some other influences that were teacher related. In my elementary school, a teacher named Mrs. McCravey was one of my favorite teachers. Now, she was tough, but we actually didn't see it that way. We learned quite a bit and got a pretty good foundation with her. And another teacher was Mr. King. He was the social studies teacher, and we learned a lot of the world from him. He sort of had a worldview before there was a worldview. So those were two of my influences. There were others, and they were all in elementary school, by the way.
Oh, wow. That just shows you how deep kids learn from such an early age, and how impressionable and how important those teachers are. They all are. But,
Yeah, there was other one influence that was influenced musically. My dad wanted me to be a classical piano player. And at the beginning, that's all I knew how to play. But being in Detroit and Motown, there you go. But my dad also really liked the blues. So there was a musician in town around the neighborhood that was really good playing the blues. So he asked him to come over and show me some blues things, some blues music. So I really learned some blues music from him too. His name was Dave, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
So my influences from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You sure did. When you were a child, so this is kind of goes into that, I guess. Hood. Um, when you were a child, then was there an adult that wasn't a parent that had an impact on you? I guess other than the teachers and the musicians.
Um, yeah, those were big influences. All of those that I mentioned were big influences. Other than a parent, it would have been my music teachers. Um, there was a lot of music around when I was growing up. Also, I have to mention my brother again. I watched him play baseball quite a bit, and I picked up a few things. I had, at times, when I was growing up, I had designs on maybe being a pro baseball player, but music went out. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah. That- Wow. So you came to your love of sports then maybe through your brother?
Yes, my brother, my dad liked sports. My mom was a diehard Tigers fan. I mean, diehard. So I went to a lot of baseball games when I was young. As a matter of fact, I remember the first baseball game my dad ever took me to. Um, it went extra innings, and I was asleep half the time, leaning on my dad. I was young enough where he could carry me to the car. So I don't know how I did this, but I remember the pitcher that lost the game for the Tigers. His name was Ron Nishwitz. Why I remember that, I have no idea. But, but I did. Again, my mom was a great, big Tigers fan. As a matter of fact, one time I took her to a baseball game, and we got seats like 2 rows from the field, and you could see uh, at the time it was Cleveland Indians, you could see the dugout and hear them talking, right? So, I'm sort of proud of myself. I said, well, Mom, how do you like these seats? Oh, they're okay, but they're not on the Tiger side.
Oh no.
Okay, okay. All right, all right, okay, okay. So the very next time we went, Joanne and I took her to a game, and there's some seats behind the plate and towards the Tiger side at the U part, America part. So we got some great seats. There's some picnic type seats where they've got a little table and two big seats there to enjoy the game with, and it's just barely under the overhang. So if it rains, you're okay. They're a little pricey, but after that, she said, "Well, we're going to sit here all the time," and we did. So again, she's a big, big Tiger fan. Watched them on TV all the time. So had a lot of influence as far as sports is concerned.
Oh, you sure did. It sounds like your whole family loved sports.
Yeah, actually they did.
It's amazing. My family was not we're not big sports people. My stepdad was,
Uh-huh.
but the rest of us weren't. But my stepdad worked at the Ohio State University, so we had season tickets for
I'll forgive you for that for Ohio
yes,
State,
thank
but
you.
okay.
uh, so so what would you like to share what would you like to share with me about your story?
Uh, what would I like to share? Um, I think that I would like to, from my past experiences with churches, I think the thing that I would like to share is music. I hate comparisons to music because you get everyone may think that classical music is better than jazz or jazz is not as good as classical, or gospel is not as good as whatever. So they all the people that play them, the musicians that play them, they all learn from the same pot. They got to learn discipline, scales, like I said, listening to other composers, and then the differences is that they're different kind of genres, not one better than the other, but you got to view them as equal but different. And I think if you take that attitude, you enjoy more genres of music.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. More. That's it seems so simple, doesn't it?
It's simple, but it's really, really complex. As a matter of fact, I was able to teach one of the ministry fair classes on music, and that was that subject came up, as a matter of fact. And one of the persons that participated after the class was over, he I guess he had not a problem, but he just wanted to emphasize that one wasn't better than the other. It was okay if he liked the formal music in the Episcopal Church. He always said that there was a choice. One wasn't better than the other, but there was always a choice. It was okay for you to like any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was pretty profound.
Right.
Well, and you can like more than one,
Exactly. I know I do.
And that variety gives people just more ways to praise, more chances to enter in, and yeah,
Exactly.
I think limiting is unfortunate.
I've seen a lot of live music, all types of genres. The whole thread through that is they all know the craft well, and with live music, no matter what you go listen to, you can go listen to country, you can listen to classical music, you can listen to jazz, pop. The thread through them all is that they know the craft pretty well, and they can connect with anybody. I saw, it wasn't Garth Brooks. It was, I can't remember his name. We were at a convention one time. He was country guy was playing, and he really could play. And they had a T square, so he walked out on the T square, and so I was close to him, and I was watching his hands play, and he caught my attention. His eyes met, and so while he was playing, he played a little jazz lick.
Nice.
Oh, okay. I see.
Oh, all right. Nice.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Also, we went to downtown. We went to the World Music Festival, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah, and this guy from India or somewhere from that area played the sitar, I think it was.
Yeah. Wow.
And so he walked out and started. This guy, he knew his craft well. He knew the genre of music that was playing well, and he's so well connected with the audience, and the audience was diverse. That's what I mean. If you know your craft and know your genre and are really immersed in it, you can connect with anybody.
That
Yeah.
is
Anybody.
so true. Julia and I talk a lot about music, and that kind of being a different way to reach people. And whenever somebody needs help or we need to raise money, my brain is wired to think about it. Well, how can music help? That's
Oh,
just the
absolutely.
first thing that I go to because that's how I'm built. But it's really amazing how transcendent music can lift us above so much.
I
I
agree.
think that's
Mhm.
really amazing and important.
I agree wholeheartedly.
If there were a message that you wanted other people to know, what would it be?
A message. Um, Relationship building is very, very important in Christian formation. So I would advise everyone to hone in their relationship skills. I think that'll help you in life, in every area of life that you have. So relationships are, I think, the most important thing.
I I agree with you. In I think that part of what this quarantine pandemic time has done for me is it has slowed me down, but it has helped me reflect and
Mhm.
also helped me connect with people that I haven't connected with in a long time and really lay down some of the things that I've been carrying or reignite relationship or change relationship, which is really important, especially, well, I was going to say especially now, but yes, especially now, but always.
Mhm.
I agree.
Mm, mm.
How do you feel? Okay, I'm going to ask a question.
Sure, do it.
Um, how do you feel now that we're using Zoom so much? How do you feel that does the connection change from just talking on the phone? And since we can't meet face to face, how do you feel that Zoom has helped or not helped?
Oh, well, for me, it does change it. I get a fair amount of Zoom fatigue where I'm just staring at Zoom meetings all day, and then by the end of it, I'm kind of like, my eyes are going like this.
Yeah.
But that I do believe that it has helped more than not. I miss hugs. I miss seeing people in person. But I think to your point, it helps you build relationship a different way. And you're so focused on people's faces because you don't have their whole body
Mhm.
to look at. You have to be so focused on what's going on in their voice. I listen a different way, I think. It has certainly impacted. I'm a teacher at Wayne State, and just being in the choir, and it's impacted how we do all of that. But it's also shown me, like for our choir, we normally would rehearse after church and before church, and then so it was probably about 3 to 4 hours of rehearsal for the choir a week on a Sunday morning because they would do rehearsal, church, coffee hour, rehearsal.
Okay.
So what it's shown me is that the onus is on the choir now to practice because I do a lot of virtual choirs and
Right.
it's more prep for me so that the time that I spend is a little bit more, but I don't spend the time pounding the notes for them, and we begin to make music strangely in this virtually connected way because nobody likes to listen to themselves. We are all so critical of ourselves, but I've spent a lot of time encouraging people to um, not listen to their voice and judge it because it's going to be blended. It's going to be all together. It's not going to be something that we're hearing just your voice. And it's hard. I don't like to do it. I don't like to listen to my voice. I don't like to, I'm constantly watching in the video. Am I doing the right technique? All these things. But I think for me, I've told my mom and my family, I just prefer video calls now. I don't even call on the phone for the most part unless I can't get them on a face or a video call. Very
Oh,
rarely. Yeah, very rarely. Usually, like if Julia and I need to talk, hey, want to hop on a Zoom? We've only had a few phone calls during this time. So it it has kind of transformed for me phone calls. I'm not really a phone person. I will if I have to, but I find with video calls it's so much more fulfilling, even though it's tiring because you listen differently.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's true. Okay, Julia.
Yep.
Well, you know,
Go
I
ahead.
think about all those meetings that we had to with the transitions committee, and there is definitely something to being together in the same room that you don't have on Zoom. On the other hand, we could have done a lot of those this way, and not, people are coming from all these different places. Just think of
Yes.
all the time. If everybody just hopped on, we could have checked in, we could have had committee meeting. We just didn't. It wasn't part of our life. We didn't really think about it, but it probably would have. Now that we know, I think we'll do that. Um, but it's also nice. I don't think I would do that exclusively. It's also, there's something about a conversation, and um, there's an awkwardness when somebody's ready to, especially a bigger group. Somebody's ready to say something, and you can't kind of read, like, when you're together, somebody kind of leans forward or something. You can tell that they're ready to talk, and you miss that on Zoom. But I don't know. There's a lot of good things about it, and like even with worship, somebody said, it's not the same for me because I'm in leadership and I see people, but a lot of people, you just see the back of the people's heads ahead of you, and when we're worshiping on Zoom, everybody's face is there except for the people that turn off their camera. But, there's an intimacy about it that is kind of surprising.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I miss being together. I miss singing together a lot.
Oh.
Um, and if somebody said, okay, now you can meet together and it'll be safe and you can do what you did before, I still think we would do things a little differently knowing what we know now. But,
Mhm.
the idea of getting together and not being able to hang out afterwards and talk and not being able to sing together and have our mass, it's just like, I think I'd rather just be on Zoom right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
Interesting. Especially when the
Yeah.
weather will change and it gets cold.
Well, yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
Rachel.
yes.
Oh, Rachel, you mentioned something about being able to blend over Zoom. Uh,
Yes.
how do you handle that problem, or can you do it? Can you do it through the computer?
I have to edit it all back. So everybody sends me an individual video,
Right.
and then I take all of their voices and I blend them together, and then I make a master music track that sounds basically like you went to a recording studio and they treated it. Um,
Okay.
and then I put that all together with their video, and so you see them moving at the same time, but it's not the raw audio. With the raw audio, it's really interesting because in live music, it just doesn't. To me, it just doesn't sound as raw as the
Right.
virtual choir because you're working together as a unit. But
Right.
when you have individual voices, there are times when I think, ooh, are we in tune there? And then I get everybody in there and it's fine. So it's really been challenging for me. I took the time during the pandemic quarantine to learn how to really video edit.
Mhm.
So I would say I'm a baby editor
Oh,
at this point. There's so much that I need to learn, but I can produce virtual choirs on a fairly regular basis for our church services,
mhm.
and I think that that's really important. I think there are other people that would like to do that, and it is challenging. It's a lot of time. I had these pie in the sky dreams back at the beginning, and it's taken me 4 months to learn how to do my pie in the sky dream. So, I mean, that's not bad timing, really, but yeah, it's I wish there were a software that took away all of the delay and lag so that we could sing together safely. But
Oh,
there's
as a matter of fact, there is software that does that. So let me see what look on some of these stores that would have a lot of those things. Maybe Guitar Center or
oh yeah.
ZZ Sound would have that type of software. And I would, if I were you, I would look it up online. There's a lot of information on that. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, a guitar player who lives in California now, sometimes he'll send out a file and he's playing on it, and he would want me to play on it.
Yes,
So
yes.
we had the same equipment, so it was interesting. It sounded pretty good. It still lacks that closeness that you have live.
Yes.
You can
Yeah.
feel each other, and the proximity helps.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we're learning through Zoom how to deal with all that.
Yes, yes, we are.
Yeah.
Nice. Ooh, we got an interview question. That's awesome.
I think you should answer that question too, though.
I agree.
Who, me?
Yeah, what do you think, Jerry, about Zoom?
Oh, I've dealt with it before, but not on the church level. It does provide some intimacy, especially over talking on a telephone. For instance, coffee hour. That seems to be really, really friendly. I think people talk and open up a little more for some reason than they do actually meeting face to face. Why, I don't know, but there's a friendliness there. Sometimes the Zoom goes on longer than scheduled because people are talking, and I think too people miss each other. So that sort of replaces it, as much as it can. So you're seeing everyone, as Julia mentioned, the facial expressions, and you can you see body language a little more. So I think Zoom has its place now. I think we're going to see a big change in churches, especially with those who can't come to church for physical reasons, or even when it snows. I think that this is going to change, and so I guess all things work together for good for those that love the Lord and are called with purpose. So here we are. So there's something to take out of this.
There is. We've had some pretty incredible conversations in our church coffee hours that have been, I have found at the beginning our coffee hours were maybe like, 45 minutes to an hour, and there have been some way longer, really deep, personal, beautiful conversations that I agree. I don't know that they would have happened at the church because everybody's sitting with everyone. And
Right.
so there aren't these little regular groups that you see. And I've learned more about some of our members than I could have imagined learning. So it's been that part of it. I agree with you. It has been incredible. It
Yeah,
has.
and I think also church attendance has risen a little bit. In services other than your 11 o'clock services, like Compline and noonday services. People from different areas, folks that used to go there and run up on it, and there's definitely some improvements there.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So again, when we get back, whenever that is, there's definitely going to be some changes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think too that that as we go through this, that the people who weren't able to be connected are, like you've said, they're able to be, but we're reaching out. We're really having a more global presence, and we're reaching out. We had guests last Sunday that we would never have had. One of our parishioners' nieces joined, and it was just really neat to see people finding God and finding the church and finding community in this time of isolation, which is pretty incredible. Like you said, all things work together for good.
Right. And do you find that younger people are attending over Zoom? Do you feel that you're getting a different demographic?
Julia, you would know better than I.
Well, Oceana's always there, but not as much, I think. I mean, we tend to, we don't have a lot of younger people anyway, but I haven't seen like Robert Coe very
Yeah.
much, or Trey, or I think some of them
What
are
about from
kind
the
of.
outside, those that haven't been attending your church?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we do have some.
There were a couple people I didn't recognize. I'm not sure. There was a Colleen. I don't know
Yeah.
where she came from. Yeah, and it's hard because normally, if we have visitors, I don't let them go without talking to them, right, and asking them
Right.
how they found us and what they're doing. In this way, it's easier to slip in and slip out. But yeah,
Are you ready for your last two questions, Sir
Oh, there
Jerry?
more? Okay.
Oh, there
I
are
have
more.
to leave in 5 minutes because I've got
Okay.
a meeting. So if I
Okay.
slip out, that's why.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, Julia.
Yes, indeed.
What gifts, Jerry, do you have that would make you happy to share with the church? Maybe music related, maybe not.
Um, let's see. Besides music, one of my gifts that I found through exploring your spiritual journey, EYSJ, was leadership. So I think I have to step up even more as being a leader. Now, I'm on the vestry, and I'm a delegate for the general convention. So I guess that's part of leadership.
Yeah.
Uh, Also, I have the gift of getting along with everybody or making friends easy and being empathetic. So I think that's one of the gifts that I could use more also.
I think that empathy is going to go a long way. I would hope that all of us would learn how to be more empathetic to one another. And I think the whole feeling that I've gotten just from talking from you is relationship. Doesn't matter all of the things, but what's important is relationship, and empathy goes into that. And you're on the music and tech team, so you are leading. You are, and you're doing this with me. That's amazing.
Well, thank you for it.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for doing this.
No problem.
What are some areas in our diocese where we could improve using everyone's gifts and talents to which they are called? This is my last question.
Oh, okay. Well, first and foremost, um, congregations and individuals have to know what their gifts are. So once you find out your gift, uh, our leaders would know how to help them use them. I'm sure there are a lot of leaders, teachers, uh, whatever gifts they might, music, whatever gifts they have, then they'll be more effective. But once Well, they have to learn what their gifts are. Now, how they do that? Well, one is through EYSJ. That would help. And I think just perhaps talking to each other, talking to the leaders, talking to the ministers, talking to Julie. I think that will go a long way toward the church fulfilling their roles, particularly in social justice. And that's one of our main themes. So learning what your gift is and seeing how you can fit in to further the church.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty incredible. And I think that certainly is one of the things that inspired me to, when Julia and I were planning, I've been trying to feature more music and be aware and learn about my own in the social justice world. I mean, I have always loved my Black friends and my brown friends, but I didn't realize just how much unconscious stuff was there. And so taking this time to learn has been so important. And I think that that we have a lot of work ahead of us, but it's important work, and I think it's time. There's definitely a wind of change that's happening, and I don't know that everybody will come around, of course, but I do think that there are so many people finally willing to be vulnerable enough to look at, oh, okay, so I really do need to have some hard discussions, or I really do need to learn more about this, and that's, it's scary because I don't want to make a misstep. And I don't want other people to teach me and do the work for me. I do want to learn from other people, but I don't want to put my responsibility on other people. And so it's, I mean, it's hard and it's scary, and yet it's the work we have to do.
Yes, Bishop Perry's been the godsend as far
Yes.
as that area is concerned. And in order for us to move in that direction, we have to be, I think you mentioned, being vulnerable, and that's always scary.
Yeah.
Always scary, but you have to be uncomfortable to get comfortable.
That is so true. Growth does not happen in the comfortable zone.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
Well, my friends, thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye, Julia. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry, so much. I so appreciate you taking this time. And I will, of course, I'll send you everything I do, the write-up, and I can send you this interview if you like. I can send that to you so you have it. And I'm so thankful for you being willing to do this with me and to help my learning and help the congregation grow. So I think this will be an awesome collaboration. I can't wait to hear what you're going to do.
Great.